We live, baby! Sitting here in the Airbnb. Looks like we have approximately 0 people watching. 0. Anyway, let's see if we can wait on here and get
About how many fish I caught today.
winning practice. Winning practice.
I don't know if that's ever a good thing.
It's terrible. It's a terrible
I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing. Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure that. Yeah, nope, 0 people, not a single person.
It's okay. It's
Man.
time. You know,
I got freaking wind burnt
Yeah, I was
all
gonna say that
to heck today. Anyway, with that being said, guys, we will just wanted to get on here and talk about a little bit of what happened today. First off, we're fishing the G. Loomis Owners Tournament tomorrow, Lake Cumberland. Going out of the Burnside ramp, we found some fish today. Probably about a 30-minute boat ride from where we're going, or where we're putting the boat in.
30-minute cold boat ride.
Yeah, so Jared had some family stuff to do today. Met me down here. I fished this morning, man. I'll tell you what, I've been cold in my life, and I've been really cold a lot, and it's super crazy. The amount of days that I've been cold, but today was one of those that were really, really cold. Super thankful for my Stormer gear today, because without it, I would have never been on the water as long as I was. Put the boat in the water today, 19-degree air temperature. There's a fine line between dedicated and dumb, y'all. I keep saying that. That's just the way it goes. But I tell you what, the reason that it was so scary today for me, 19 degrees, is that the ramp was frozen. And my boat and truck slid all the way down the ramp, and then eventually stopped when my back tire got in the water. Which, that's enough to pucker you up no matter what. But Jared come down. I caught probably, I probably had 7 keepers today. And then he came down and we ran farther down the lake. Stopped at some spots that we thought looked good. And we stopped at a spot that I knew about a couple years ago that never really holds any fish. Today, a little different, man. I think if the fish are there tomorrow, we will probably have a pretty good day. I figured we had 15 or 16 pounds, probably my best 5. I'll take that any day of the week. But Cumberland here, man, you just never know. It could be a 5-fish limit that's 10 pounds, or it could be a 5-fish limit that's 20.
This is probably one of my favorite types of practices, where you don't fish history as much. We did fish a place that you fished previously, but how long ago? Was that 2 years?
That was last year. But it's always in the spring. So right now, I've never fished here in the fall or winter. It's a winter pool. It's 35 feet lower than I've ever fished it.
Which does not help the frozen ramp.
It does not help the frozen
It's
ramp.
being steep.
Yeah, because it keeps it just more concrete there. But 35 foot less of water, you see Lake Cumberland as a different entity, man. It's a totally different lake.
It's prehistoric.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, but I will say that today we fished some spots that I don't think, I hope nobody's on it. I think people are going to drive past. It's one of those places where you see it and you're like, yeah, okay, maybe. And then if you hit it maybe on the way back to the ramp or whatever, probably. But we're going to go beat it up most of the morning if we can get on there. I don't think that there's going to be a ton of people on there, but I mean, Jared, you want to tell them what boat number, Jared?
This might be the first tournament I've ever fished where I'm the last boat in the tournament. And Tyler drew the lucky number 71.
71. I still have it in my pocket right here. Look at this thing.
71.
Oh, it's backwards. 71.
17. I like that better.
Yeah, let's yeah, no, that's not it. Oh, there's a TV there, by the way. But yeah, so 71.
I will say, though, I've only been here once, but it seems like this is a lake where if you find something, you can run that different areas of the lake.
Right.
As far as what we found today, I feel like was a pattern.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, there's a few places on that lake that lay out similar to that, with as far as the transition, because I feel like, I mean, it really transition banks are really important this time of year.
Right.
But I feel like even if we beat that place up, there's going to be a few other spots we can run around, which is probably one of my favorite things to do during a tournament.
Yeah.
Is run around and fish what looks good.
Yeah, we're going to cover a lot of water tomorrow. It's going to be a nice day. Again, as I mentioned earlier today, I was super thankful for my Stormer gear. Most of you guys may or may not know that I'm affiliated with Stormer. So first off, I don't get paid to tell you this. First off, I'm not paid by any person that's affiliated with my channel. I'm strictly a discount. I don't even consider myself a pro staffer. I get a small discount from everybody that I'm affiliated with. That's from Malone's Marine, Stormer, Shimano, G-Limitless, you name it. I am a small fish in a very big pond when it comes to that stuff. But the stuff I was telling you about, the Stormer gear, it's expensive. Everything's expensive. It's worth it. If it's worth it, the money is okay. I feel better spending the money if I use it year after year. I've had a set of Stormer bibs for better part of about 8 years now, 7 years, and they still work just as good as they did the day that I bought them. I bought a jacket after the fact, but I wore them today, and it was 19 degrees again when I put my boat in the water this morning, and I fished all morning. It was so cold. I'll be posting a picture here later on in the week, but it was so cold that I was swapping rods back and forth because my guides were freezing up. So I would throw one rod for a while until my guides would freeze up, and I'd have to pick up another rod. Water temperature though down here, it's really crazy to me that 17 degrees or 19 degrees, whatever it was when I took off this morning, and the water temperature is anywhere from 52 to 59, depending on where you're at in the lake, where we were at in the lake anyway. And I'm sure that it helped out a little bit with the water being, or the sun being beaten down all the time. Caught fish today practically all day. I didn't smash them all day long, but I caught fish throughout the day. And I don't think the bluebird skies hurt it.
No, it actually seemed like later in the day, after the sun had gotten up and warmed, especially in that last area we went to, warmed the water up, made those fish more active. Especially this time of year, I would almost rather fish in sunny skies. And that's so much different than all the other times. But this time of year, it warms that water up just enough to get those fish active, especially these smallmouth. Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of weird. You go anywhere else and seems like the cloudier it is and nastier it is, the better the smallmouth bite. But down here, it might be a little different.
Yeah, I'm hoping. So I was telling Jared earlier that I've fished the Shimano Owners Tournament a bunch. It's usually in the spring. It's usually in March or April. I think it's in April. It's at full pool. It's a summer pool. And again, I mentioned earlier, it's 35 foot below summer pool right now, but it fishes way differently. But Kyle and I have never, every time we fished it, we've never weighed a fish in. Last year, I caught a 5-pound smallmouth, and we didn't weigh it in, just for the simple fact that we're like, 5 pounds not going to do anything, and we didn't want to wait around for all the rigmarole to go through the weigh-in line and all that stuff, so we just left. But that would have been the only time we ever had a fish to weigh in. But, if it shapes up tomorrow the way it did today at practice, I think that we'll do, we should have some fish to weigh in for sure. But, like I said, I had 15, 16 pounds today between the fish I caught and what Jared caught, so it's, I will take 16 pounds in any tournament, but here at Cumberland, when I don't know anything about it, we're 3 hours from home. He's fished here a couple times. I've fished here a couple times. So it's not like we beat it up, but I feel like today that we were able to, figure out a pattern and some baits to throw. And I apologize for not telling you what we were catching them on, because the obvious reason we're fishing this tournament tomorrow. Again, there's 60 to 70 boats. We drew 71, so it's going to be super late before we get out of there. but we're looking at a 35, probably a 35 minute boat ride from where we're at to get down to where we're going. So maybe we can catch some fish. And I mean, I would love to win it, obviously. 17. So first off, I guess we need to talk about what the G Loomis tournament is. So the G Loomis Owners Tournament is for people that buy, I guess it's qualifying G Loomis products through independent G Loomis dealers in Kentucky. Now, this one is Kentucky. I'm sure they have them all over the United States, but this one is Kentucky. So, shout out to Borders there, Brad, and everybody getting us hooked up. So I've bought, several Loomis rods, and Jared just picked one up not too long ago. And the biggest thing about it is that, or the thing that you have to understand is that you have to buy this G Loomis rod sometime between. It's not a huge period of time either. It's like October of this year through like this past Friday.
Yeah, it's like 3 months.
So it's like 2 months or something. So there's not a ton of people here. Like I said, there's 100+ people here probably, but anytime you have a chance at the prizes they're giving away, it's a good day. But the best part about this situation is that your entry fee for this tournament is paid when you buy that Loomis product. So there's no entry fee to this tournament. I mean, we do have some money in. We got fuel to get down here, and we're staying in this Airbnb here in Somerset. But other than that, I mean, normally a tournament like this costs you $300 or $400 to get into. First place pays $1,750 plus 2 G Loomis Conquest rods. So you're looking at about $3,000 total for first place. But the cool thing about this is they pay all the way back to 16th place. And they don't pay money down that far, but like 16th place gets 2 Loomis GCX rods.
I think it's probably one of the coolest tournaments. I mean, with the dinner tonight, the meeting, that was awesome. They rented out an entire restaurant for all of us to go in there and have our meeting, and they're super excited for this tournament here, especially at Cumberland. And the fact that I can tell my wife, hey, I'm gonna go fish a tournament, I ain't gonna pay an entry fee.
Right.
That's like free money. So it feels like, even though you did spend money on a rod, which I have not caught a fish on that rod yet, but I'm excited to.
Maybe it happens tomorrow.
Yeah, I hope so. it almost feels like you're playing with house money.
Right. It's exactly what it is.
And it's a great time. It's we're having a blast already. I didn't even get to fish but 2 hours, but this lake, especially this time of year, I've never seen it like this, but it is absolutely gorgeous here.
Yeah, it's super nice. That's another thing. Shout out to the Somerset Chamber of Commerce. They had a lady there that was talking about, basically they were excited to have us here, obviously because we're 140 people spending money in their town, and that's what it's all about. But the cool thing about fishing tournaments like this is that my favorite thing about fishing tournaments out of town is this right here. We get to hang out. We, drink a couple adult beverages here, and we were watching the Bilge podcast, and we fished today, and we're gonna get a fish tomorrow, and win, lose or draw. This is just as much fun as anything else. But this tournament being free is really fun. Yeah,
makes it a little easier.
So tomorrow we're going to go out and we're going to make a long boat ride and we're going to see what happens. It's going to be cold in the morning, but that's just kind of the way it goes. Hopefully we get to the spot, and that's kind of one of the things that we have to kind of deal with is we're boat 71 and we're running, we're running 30 miles probably, I would say, every bit of it. And it's kind of luck of the draw. I mean, it's exactly luck of the draw. If you draw boat number 1 and you have a fast enough boat to go down the lake, you could literally pick any place that you want.
Yeah.
Or if you were boat 71 like us, we get to figure out where people aren't fishing and fish there.
But that's almost okay though. Less running for us, hopefully, than for them. And maybe we'll get to fish a little longer knowing that we're not going to run all the way. Because you draw boat number 1, it almost questions what you did today. And if you draw boat 1, you're like, man, I actually do have time to run down there and check a few places. and we'll just hit what we found today on the way back. Now that we're definitely not boat number one.
71.
And, yeah. And we have a place, we have a plan, we're going to be able to execute on that plan rather than have things slip into your mind. And it doesn't help that Mother Nature, thank the Lord, is throwing us a curveball tomorrow, and 19 degrees when you put in the water today, and the high for tomorrow is 60.
Yeah.
So that could also change a few things.
Right.
Those largemouth could bite tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that really, obviously, if I ever get to the point where I don't get anxious before a tournament, I'll just quit fishing, because that's what it's all about, man. Like, you go down there, and Jared mentioned it at dinner tonight, and he says, you know, one of the greatest things about bass fishing here, and you come to a tournament like this, is like, anybody here has a chance to win this thing, and everybody here thinks that they're going to win it.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know, you go down and, you know, well, first off, congratulations to Iron Fighting Tigers tonight for winning the state championship tonight.
Oh, did they win it?
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. But,
Yeah.
you know, so you go into something like that, there's always an underdog, as he was talking about. That's what he said. You know, there's always somebody that feels like that they have to really do something special to win. And on any given day when you're fishing, you have the opportunity to win. You know, there are people that win a lot more than others, and those are the people that put in the time and effort to learn lakes and learn new baits and learn how fish react and how they're living and where they're at, and are they chasing bait and what kind of bait are they chasing. Like, there's just so much that goes into fishing. You know, so like if you're golfing, you know, Jared said he likes to golf too. I'm not a huge, I like to go to the driving range every now and again, but with that being said, if you get good enough at judging yardage, you can say, okay, well, I need to hit a 9-iron here, right? Like, there is some skill involved, obviously, to hit that 9-iron where you're going, but like the distance, you can pretty much, you know, judge a club by the distance, or distance by the club. So, but fishing, there's literally 10 million spots on Lake Cumberland we could fish tomorrow.
I think with fishing, with that, is every single tournament fisherman is competitive. Yes, you like to beat your buddies. Yes, you like to come in first place. But in all honesty, you're not competing against other anglers. You're competing against the fish.
Right. Yeah, and that's, you know, and we were just talking about it. You know, I was talking to Drew, and we were talking to, you know, Jared and I were talking amongst ourselves that, you know, I titled this video, "We Won Practice," because, you know, that's a terrible thing to do. You go out and freaking smoke them on practice. But one of the hardest things that I had to do today was we found a spot that was very large. I'm super thankful that the place we found that we could, within the area that we're at, we could basically pattern that for miles, which was great. But, you know, like, the hardest thing for me as a fisherman, we pulled in there and started freaking jacking their jaws, and I was like, we gotta leave.
And I'll be honest with you, when you said, all right, I'm picking the trolling motor up, I was like, damn. Like, this is fun.
Yeah.
But that's what separates someone who, like you said, you titled this video, we won practice.
We won practice, yeah.
There's a difference between we found fish and we throttled them,
right,
to the point where you sword mouth all of them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all about patterning the fish, finding out what they'll eat.
And that's the cool thing about this place.
Right.
Is I feel like it's super patternable. Like I said, I haven't been here much, but I feel like you could run what we found today on, there's probably 60, 70 spots on this lake you can run the same thing.
Right. And, you know, and the bad thing about quote unquote winning practice, and what I mean by winning practice is that we went out and we freaking leaned on them today. And what I mean leaned on them, I think, like I said, between the fish I caught and the fish Jared caught, the 2 hours he got to be here, and then I ended up catching a fairly large fish, pretty much the last fish of the day. Matter of fact, other than a little spot that he caught, it was the last fish of the day. And that was it. You know, we caught 3 fish within 40 yards of each other, and I was like, we could go right down this bank and freaking whack there. We could freaking jack their jaws for hours.
And that's a place that I feel like the fish that were up, they're going to be feeding more fish up to it.
Yeah. So, and that's the deal. Like, I would have, just like Jared said, I could have sat there all day
All day long.
and sat there and whacked on them.
That's the fisherman. in me.
Yeah, I was like, because it's fun, man. You cast out there and you're like,
Let's just say we didn't roll no hooks in.
Right, no.
We didn't roll any hooks in. If
No.
they bit, we caught them.
Yeah, no, we caught them for sure. But you know, it's really tough, and like that's something that's I guess I'm growing as a fisherman, because 5 years ago, but I just sit there and whacked every one of them. We're like, we'd have went in there tomorrow, and it'd be like, and it still could very well be. We go in there tomorrow, and I got these really high hopes. It's like, I got 3 baits I'm going to throw all day. I'm not going to take another rod out of my box. I'm going to throw these 3 baits, which you guys will see after this, live video. Obviously, if you're just now joining us, we're talking about catching all these fish. I'm not telling you what we caught them on, because again, we're fishing the G Loomis Owners Tournament tomorrow, and we don't really, there's probably nobody here watching that knows anything about the tournament, especially fishing it. But, I feel like we're on something, and I want to have every opportunity to catch the fish that we found.
That's the fisherman in you.
Right, so I want to go out there and I'll catch them, but, we could go to that same spot tomorrow, throw the same baits, and never get bit.
That's the beauty of fishing.
Yeah, so, the fish could be there and not eat what you're throwing, or the fish are not there and not going to eat what you're throwing, or the fish are there and they're going to eat what you're throwing for like 20 minutes and then shut off. It just kind of, I don't know. I'm excited about tomorrow. I can't wait to see what happens. We're fishing. These people fishing these tournaments are not your average weekend anglers. These guys are sticks, right? We were talking about it at dinner. I'm lucky to be affiliated with G Loomis and Shimano, that I have, one of the most expensive rod and reel brands on the market as an affiliate of my channel, which, I don't say that lightly, and I definitely don't say that in a way that, I'm not trying to, downplay or make anybody think that I'm better than them, but, being able to afford those things, most of the people we're fishing against are paying full price for these things.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, if they bought an NRX Plus, they're paying $650 for this thing. You're not going to find some brand new person coming in to fish Vesuvius at home with a freaking $650 NRX Plus that they just bought the very first rod they ever had at Borders. That's not going to happen. So these people feel like they're good enough or spend enough time on the water that they can justify these purchases. And like I said, I think, what is it? I think it's the IMX Pro or higher, isn't it? Or
yeah, it's
like the 325 or higher.
Yeah.
So you got $300 in this tournament, really, but you're getting a real rod out of it. Yeah.
Maybe. You gotta catch it.
You gotta catch them.
You might get 2 rods out of it.
Yeah, it's it's just kind of, I'm excited. Water temperature, like I said, is really crazy warm for this time of year, in my opinion. It's 50. It'll be 60 degrees tomorrow, every bit of it. And because again, as Jared alluded to earlier, the water temperature was 59, but it's supposed to be 60 plus degrees tomorrow. But we're going to have a little more wind than we had today, so that's going to kind of, the baits we're throwing, I feel like that actually plays better into our hands.
Yeah, well, without saying too much. I feel like you go any further, people might know.
Yeah, no, so it was a good deal, but, and we're just going to go out and put the old Stratus in the wind and go down the lake, and we're going to try to catch them, and I think that we're going to. It's going to be one of those things where, you just have to. I think that and when fishing, there's a fine line between being lucky and good. Like, I feel like that, I'm one of those people that feels like fishing is like 70% luck.
Yeah.
Like 30% skill, because, that's all, like, that's, the stuff I'm talking about there is like, it's very, like, systematic if you think about it. Like, if I pull up in a farm pond, right, I can pretty much throw anything I want and catch fish. But I think when you're fishing a really highly pressured body of water, kind of like Cumberland we're fishing here, is that 70% of that is having a fish be where you're at and being hungry. Because let's face it, if there's no fish there or the fish aren't hungry, you're not catching them anyway. I don't care if you got the best live scope or the best hummingbirds on the planet or whatever you're looking at, you could see them. I talk about all the time, like, nothing pisses me off more than seeing a fish and not being able to catch it.
Yep.
I was thankful today that I caught 2 fish scoping, but I'm also very thankful today that I did not have to scope all day.
So that was what I was going to bring up next, is I was going to ask, because forward-facing sonar is the number one issue in all of fishing, professionally and or just conservation-wise. And people think that if you have live scope and you see a fish, you're gonna catch it. That's not true.
Absolutely
But
not true.
how many fish would we have weighed in today that we caught on live scope?
2.
2.
Yeah, this morning I caught 2 fish, but I will tell you, I live scoped all morning. Talked to a buddy of mine, and he told me to go some places. Went there this morning, and the fish were there. There were fish there. They just weren't the right size, and they were loaded inside a striper. Like, you would see a school of bass, and then right behind them would be, I mean, an absolute, like, some of the biggest schools of fish. I wish I was wearing a chesty today so I could show you the live scope that I saw. I was going across this creek that I was in and came across a group of striper, and I know it was a group of striper because I caught one of them. There must have been 5,000 of them. Dude, they were so thick. Like, I'm talking about from the top of the water to the bottom of the water, as far as my live scope could see, was nothing but this big blob of fish. You could see them all swimming. I was like, oh my God, if this is bass, it's over.
One of the biggest businesses here is chartered
Strap fishing, yeah. And they catch hammers too, man, like
Yeah.
20 to 30 pounders. I think it'd be an awesome time to go. Didn't you say you have something?
Yeah. Jerry Sasser, he's on Facebook.
Jerry
If
Sasser?
anyone wants to look him up, he's on Facebook. I've got him as a friend. Anybody likes, and I'll tell you what, you can very easily get distracted by catching stripers.
Yeah, I did today.
Blast.
So I was throwing a 7-foot medium poison adrena spinning rod. First off, guys, I don't know, I haven't had a chance to talk to you guys about it, but if you guys haven't seen the Berkley Drip or I have the Drip Swimmers, which is kind of like a swim
I saw
bait.
that today. That
Dude, like,
thing looked good.
they are like, I swear I don't think you can freeze dry a minnow and make it look any better. But I was throwing that thing out there on a 7-foot medium poison adrena rod, and you know, stripers are great because I swear they're kind of like the bluegill of fish. If you get something that remotely looks like a fish in front of them, they're freaking going to eat it.
Well, when you're in a school of 5,000,
Yeah, they're
first come,
yeah.
first served,
Yeah.
and they get
honored with it. Yeah, so I got one about 24, 25 inches today, probably 5 pounds maybe. But they grow them freaking big here. Matter of fact, Jared Caesar was with the guys from Tactical Bassin a couple years ago, and they shot a they shot a striper video here at Cumberland, and they ended up catching a freaking giant. You know,
they live bait a lot of stripers here. I've noticed.
Yeah, so I mean, man, stripers are one of the hardest fighting fish on the planet. They freaking run. But it was a good time today, you know, catching those things. But, you know, started back in the creeks, so we'll tell you that. Couldn't get them to go in the creeks. Got 2 small keepers back there live scoping. Matter of fact, I didn't catch both of them live scoping. I caught one scoping, caught one on the bait that thou shall not be named until after tomorrow. And then that kind of allowed me to lock that bait in my hands because it's one of those baits that I absolutely love throwing. And it's one of those things that we were talking about earlier. It's one of my favorite ways to catch fish.
I was about to say, if we give a hint, it's one of the best bites that you can get on fishing for bass.
Yeah, and that's subjective, right? Because
So it's a hint to somebody.
Somebody's
some maybe not. Some people like that minnow and listen to that drag sing.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know. Hopefully we don't have to do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
We got a long boat ride. Boat 71. Speaking of which, Zoom Burno. Threw that thing this morning. Saw a fish first thing this morning on live scope. Up in this creek I was in. Didn't have a clue that these things were stacked in there. Those striper were stacked in there like that. I thought it was a bass. Swimming just like a bass. By itself. Behind a bait ball. Throw this jerk bait out there. And I watch him come straight up. I just dead sticked it. He just came up, and as soon as I twitched it, freaking absolutely hammered it. I set the hook, and about 2 reels into it, breaks my line, jumps up, striper about that long, broke my Zoom Verno off. I guess I'm gonna have to buy some more, but they catch them. Striper like them too, though. I caught them out of Grayson the other day on a pretty
I was about
good.
to say, if you people don't want to travel down Lake Cumberland to catch stripers,
Yeah.
they're full of. I think they're actually hybrids
Yeah, Grayson.
in Grayson, but I could almost open a charter at Grayson for those hybrids.
It's fun. It is really good. Guys, won't keep you on here any longer. Just figure we'd talk about how we won practice today. Had about 15, 16 pounds, our best 5. We're going to go out and try to catch them tomorrow. Been, again, long boat ride, about 30 miles probably from where we're taking off. It's going to be cold in the morning, but it's going to start warming up rapidly throughout the day. 60-degree high tomorrow. Did you see what the low is supposed to be tonight?
38.
All right, so it's not going to be 16 or
Nope.
19. So
I am curious though. Before we go, what do you think's going to win? Give me and we'll do an over under. You give me a number and I'll tell you over under.
17 pounds wins tomorrow.
I think that's a good number because if you catch 5 of the right ones,
All right.
I'll go under. I'd say closer to 15.
Well, I hope we catch 17.
I hope we catch 20, and it's a moot point.
Right. Yeah. Like we'll come in boat 71.
Yeah.
Be like, what happened? I don't know. We
Yeah.
just whacked them this
Yeah.
morning. Like I tell you what, we catch 20 pounds. I'm pulling a Timmy Horton on them, baby.
I was about to say,
I'm
we catch 20 pounds. I'm ordering a pizza.
We're
for us.
going
We'll
back.
go to
We're
the
going to eat pizza at the ramp. We got 20
Yeah.
pounds. I guarantee
Because
that.
I tell you what, it could happen that quick.
It
too.
could, yeah. Yeah, we'll just go back and keep them alive in the live well. Which, by the way, guys, you guys heard me talking in like the last live. I got a Powerhouse lithium battery. They have zero things to do with my channel at all. Just bought one because it fit my needs the best. Huge 160 amp hour lithium battery, but it has a emergency start, kind of like a emergency battery pack built into it, which is something I really like that, so that's why I bought it. But I never do this, but I did it today just to see what it would do. I left my live scope on all day, my Garmin graph with the live scope on all day, 215 Solix on all day, which again I never do because if I'm not using them, I always put them on standby. But ran them all day, but I was running my motor, so we were running the lake pretty good. But ran all those things all day today, and plugged my boater in a second ago. 70% battery still left.
Lithiums are
Pretty impressive.
the technology they're coming out with now is scary.
Yeah. So guys, wish us luck. We will see you. I guess we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll have Jared on the show on Tuesday. We'll talk about what we did, and hopefully we'll show you this
Giant
massive
trophy.
G Lewis tournament trophy. Like it's. We're gonna have to have like a come along to
Yeah,
get in
we're
the
gonna
truck.
be if we win that thing, we'll be like 2 divorced parents sharing custody.
We have to
50-50.
split it in half, like, or either that, or like you get it one week, I get it the other. I bet it weighs 50 pounds.
Oh,
Like it's
easy.
crazy. But it's all good. We're gonna go out and try to catch them. If you guys throw up a prayer for us tomorrow, make sure we're safe and maybe we can catch some. And whether we catch them or not, we're gonna have fun. It's always good to get out in the water with Jared and have some fun. But we'll let you guys know how we do tomorrow. Wish us luck, and hopefully they're saying first place goes to Tyler and Jared.
There we go.
Better than that. So, guys, appreciate you guys sticking around, checking out this episode of On Another Line. If you can, get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.